If you send money using a third-party app, especially if you're transacting goods and services, you're going to want to watch this to understand what a 1099-K is. All right, let's dive into it. All right, let's talk about the legislation that was passed in the last couple years that impacted 1099-Ks, and it might impact you. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. This reduced the reporting threshold to $600. Before the American Rescue Plan Act, 1099-Ks were only for $20,000 of transactions or higher, 200 plus transactions as well. So this is a significant reduction in the reporting threshold. Now, IRS Notice 2310 did come out for the tax year 2022. This kept the old limits in place and did not implement the new American Rescue Plan Act $600 threshold. Subsequently, in 2023, IRS Notice 2023-74 also kept the old limits in place. This was kind of like an introduction, a phase-in period for the new legislation. It is a little bit controversial, $600 threshold. And as we go through, you can see how the $600 threshold could possibly cause problems for people that receive this, not knowing exactly what to do with the 1099-K. So what exactly is getting reported on the 1099-K? What's getting reported are payments received during the tax year for credit and debit card transactions that are used through a third party or paid through a third party settlement organization. This is going to be like payment applications like Venmo, PayPal. This will even apply to like an eBay or car sharing, selling tickets online. These all could generate a 1099-K. If you look at the 1099-K form, you will see it's going to break down by month how much you receive from the payment application or the third-party settlement organization. And it's going to give you an ultimate total in box 1A of how much that third-party app paid you for transactions through that particular settlement organization, that third-party settlement organization. So what exactly is a third-party settlement organization? The IRS is defining it as a central organization that has the contractual obligation to make payments to participating payees of third-party network transactions. Basically, you're using an app like a Venmo, PayPal, etc., and you're sending money between buyers and sellers. Now, the buyer is not going to receive the 1099-K. It's the seller. The person that is receiving the money is going to receive the 1099-K. So if you're buying items online through a Venmo, a PayPal, third-party application, you do not need to worry about receiving a 1099-K. It's only the sellers that will end up receiving a 1099-K. So what are some examples of payment services or third-party network transactions? These are going to be payment applications like Venmo, PayPal, any online market community, craft or maker marketplace, auction sites, car sharing, ticket exchange, crowdfunding, any freelance marketplace. These are all third-party settlement organizations that are going to result in a 1099-K if you are selling goods and services on them. So let's talk about what you should do if you receive a 1099-K. If you are running a small business, more than likely you're going to report that revenue on your Schedule C. A Schedule C is for an independent contractor, a freelancer. If you're just running a craft type of business, these are going to be sole proprietor efforts where you're generating revenue through goods and services. And then you want to also take into consideration what are your expenses related to generating that revenue. You don't want to assume 100% of the 1099-K is taxable income, because if you're running a small business, you want to ensure that through your Schedule C, you're deducting your business expenses to offset what is generating or what is showing up on that 1099-K. Another consideration is Schedule D, gains on the sale of an asset. If you have a personal asset, like let's say you're selling something on an auction site and you have a cost basis related to the item that you're selling, you want to take that into consideration because you could have a capital gain in that situation. You've sold an asset, you've received cash for it, but you also paid money to buy that asset. You should only pay tax on the difference between what you sold it for and what you paid for it. You don't want to pay tax on the full amount that is showing up on the 1099-K if you have a cost basis related to the asset that you have sold. Don't assume 100% of it is taxable. The other consideration is Maybe the transaction that you received money, maybe it's from a friend that you're ride sharing with. Maybe it's you're paying a troop leader back from a Girl Scout. Maybe you're paying somebody for a soccer league. There could be transactions that are just not taxable. And on your tax return, there's going to be a place to make an adjustment. There is a line 24Z when you're entering your 1099K on your tax return where you can make adjustments to the 1099K. This will adjust the gross amount by whatever adjustment that you put in. For example, if you're not running a business and you did not sell an asset at a gain, and let's just say you have a roommate who paid you their portion of the rent through Venmo, and that generated a 1099K. You would want to input the 1099K on your tax return, and then you would want to, on this line 24Z, adjust that amount for anything that is not taxable. So if a roommate's paying you their portion of the rent that you are then ultimately just flipped to the landlord, that's not a taxable event for you. So you want to make sure you make that adjustment and you do not pay tax on the 1099K that was generated. So what's going to happen in 2024? You're good to go in 2023 and 2022. Most people are not going to receive a 1099K because they kept the old thresholds in place. 2024 is slated to be the $600 limit. However, with the last IRS update, the proposed limit for 2024 is $5,000. And there's also legislation out there. There's people that are fighting hard against this to keep the old limits in place. That way, people who are transacting with friends and family are not going to run into a situation where they get a 1099K and have to figure out what to do with that. But as of right now, the limit for 2024 is $600. I highly doubt that's going to stay in place. I think at minimum, you'll see the $5,000 limit. 2025, no idea what's going to happen there. We'll have to see what legislation comes out, whether they keep the $600 limit in place or they reverse course and go back to the $20,000 and 200 transaction threshold. But if you receive a 1099K, don't assume you necessarily need to pay tax on it. Take a close look and see what exactly they're sending you a tax form for. I appreciate you. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye.